Well, hello. All right. So, where were we? We had lots of stuff going on here. We've got adding connections is a thing now for rooms for tiles. So, if we go and let's say delete you, then we can come in here. We should no longer see an east. We don't see an east. We click add. There's nothing to tell us. We need like a modal here and get that wired into everything that says, hey, select the destination or whatever. But we have this, and if we apply, it creates it. We can then see. We need to get a little foldy icon here. Let's start making some notes and check the status of our other notes. This has been done. Wait. I think this has been done. Let's double check. That would be in server. Oh, right. Game map isn't internal because editor uses it. We hung it off a tile, I think. Cardinal 2. Yes. So this is done. Close that. Close that. Get this. Put away. That reminds me I should check Discord. I'm bad about doing that. I'll do that later. That I think is still a thing. So if we come in here and we have a couple things open and we're like, do that and apply. Yeah. So we need to track that. That's still a thing we got to fix up. And deselecting tiles by clicking empty map space. Well, the problem with that is we don't have a whole lot of empty map space. Escape works great. We want to also fix that up. Suspect that is not selected but active or something like that, right? Or focused. So we'll need to do that. Let's do, we need to fix lingering focused highlight on a room tile when we have deselected a connection. And then I'm going to forget to hold control, as is tradition. Oh, it just eats it completely now? Okay, cool. Cool. Love that. When deselecting a connection, and let's see here, editor, we need to also apply action button like highlight to connection buttons on mouse over to indicate to user that it's clicky. The for the we would need to make sure that actually we can just test that. We want to make sure that the if we hit add and then we hit escape, yeah, we need to make that cancelable by both like a cancel click here on that modal and also by hitting escape. For the destination, what even was that word? For the destination room, click a waiter and tie to a cancel button on the modal. I think that's technically correct. And tie to cancel button on the modal and escape. That. Forgot to grab a beverage. That's unfortunate. What else do we need to note down real quick? We need better indication that these are buttons because we've done away with the border, which I think I like. I didn't like the border. Did we have anything for in our mock-up? Did we already solve this problem? I don't think we did, but let's look anyway. No, this had colors for rooms, but not Oop. Didn't want to do that. But nothing for the, and we'll still want to do that, but that's later, right? Nothing for the clickies, which are much smaller, but we discovered we needed them bigger for being able to actually show graphics, right? Which it's fine. I kind of like this. I think they can get a little bit smaller maybe, but I like the clarity that's going on here, and it'll get better when we replace these with the actual icons we're going to use, right? That's a project too. So this is looking pretty good. We'll need to do templates is all of a thing, right? A whole other thing, rather. Zoom, we need to sort out still. Save, and this whole top bar we need to do basically, but let's continue getting the core functionality working here. I think this bar will come close to the end. We want to probably do this next. But we need to have some, discard please, differentiation for this. So we need to change background color of connection tiles to help indicate the clickable area slash that they are clickable in the first place. So we got that we need to do. And while we're here, we might as well make our own icons for connection tile arrows. Replace the current placeholder stuff. We'll just chuck that into there as well. This is all kind of part of this, but it's just being broken down, right? We're bending the limits of what Kanban should be, but that's fine. I'm allowed to. I do what I want. All right, so that is squared away. We have a list. We also need to, when we deselect, there's a bug here. We need to make sure we reset this when we deselect things. Let's note that down real quick as well. Doop. You back. Ensure edit bar header is reset to default on deselect of things. We got some bugs, we got some to-dos, we got lots of good stuff, right? Let's go with something that's hopefully easy. Let's go ahead and give these a different background. And we're going to do something about on hover. We're going to need for that. Let's put this away. That back. New window. Our friend, the Cogent Core docs. Okay. So. I think it's going to be under events. Events. Ugh. Hover. Okay. So there's that. Let's pull that off to the side. This is going to live in connection tile because we've broken these packages out. So it's nice. I don't know if I want to do that yet. We would have to. We also want to clean up this. We still need the file path for embed, I think, but I don't want to. If I can get away with like a CD, then I don't have to repeat this all the time, and it would be easier to make it a constant. We need to let's note that down real quick as well. We need to make icon file names constants. Ugh. Forgot to hit control again. There we go. Get that in the old to-do list. But for now, I guess the other thing we could do is give this like a config. Well, no, because right. The reason I was thinking of doing it is to ensure we only load them once. Let's take just a quick sidebar here to don't know if there's a way. I suspect that this is loading multiple times, right? And it's embedded, but still. And I don't think, like, here it would obviously print that multiple times, but I think we would have to, like, flame graph this to verify that for sure. This is where we open. We need to fix this as well. Okay, yeah. That's also part of our consideration. We have a logger in map, but not here. And because we don't have a single instance of the connection tile, right? This is probably getting reloaded every single time. We don't want that. We want it to be reusing stuff. I think that if the well, what calls you? This calls you. We would want to load the icons into something, right? That we could just give this a pointer to. And then the SVG this. Do we have actually, let me double check. That might not be something that we can really drive that way. From a constant or something like that. Give an optional parent. Let's use a widget that renders an svg.svg object. If it's not read-only, user can pan and zoom the display. By default, it states read-only, right? Which makes sense. But I think we might be able to get away with that. Hard to say. Well, let's stay on some degree of task here. Let's do our background first and foremost. So that's going to live in these guys. dots. It's not that. We need to look at the docs. Where did I? Oh, there you are. Hiding right there in plain sight. But let's actually open up. Of course, that doesn't take me. What I want is another. There's my events. Just do this. Because it's the WAS map, I can't middle click on it. That's kind of obnoxious. Background color. That's what I want. Could be other concepts. Probably color. Surface is basic background color. Surface container. Might be okay. Like we're going to want to we're going to want to change our theming around, right? Right now it's just the default whatever dark mode thing they have. We're going to want to customize that some, but if we use the theme stuff, theoretically we can override that, set it to our own. All right, that's my thinking. Why can't you just show me? You're probably in widgets then. Button should have it, right? No. Frame? No. That doesn't really help me. How about under style again? Is there... Okay, that's how we set it. We just do an equals on it, and that is scheme dot on background, I think is what we called. So we need to put this, that's our horizontal. Actually, let's just test that before we go change it elsewhere. But I think that's what I want. Can't stop yawning today. Oh, no, that's not what I want. Okay. Did I misremember? That's probably fine. Get over there. Color on surf. Oh, right. Because text and such things. Surface container. That's what I want. Like that. Let's give that a shot. Hi, Aramith. How's it going? Excellent. Yeah, there we go. I like that a little bit. How am I today? I'm doing all right. I'm happy with how this is coming together. So let's go ahead and get this. Like so. Like so. That should get me all of them. Oops. All of them kind of popped out, and we'll need to do with something else. I think that's what they used to use for, or do use for the on hover. Yeah, it's very much close, very close. For those, we need to. Do I like that in the context of all of the things? Maybe. We'll leave it there for now. We might have to change that, but that does pop them out. And then we want to on hover set, like, let's say an outline. Let's do that. Let me just double check. Surface container on versions of surface container as on surface. Okay. Surface dim. That. What if we did surface container low? That would kind of darken it a little bit, right? Lowest. Let's see if we like that better. Just isn't quite sitting right with me to have it look exactly like a highlighted tile. And that looks just like the background, so let's go with low. See how we like that? Okay, yeah. Yeah. That's a little better. Let's see how it looks if we switch them all. I just want to, like, show that it's there, invite you to explore it with your mouse so that you can learn that they're clickable. Make it easy to do the right thing, guide you to success, sort of deal. Yeah. And that's still a little brighter. I think I like that. So now let's get hooked up to the on hover. And that is here. It's going to have to be. Oh, could we put this? No, because this is our custom. We can't hang it off of that. This is a button. which is a connection button, which is what we return from these guys. So yeah, this controls the styler. We could... These are sort of instance specific, which is why they're here, right? But if we were to take this out of here, and then come down to here, we would need to do... It wouldn't be background though, or yeah, it would be, but it wouldn't be container. It'd be new connection button, styler, styles.style. Come down here, get that in there. Then this would add this styler, right? Add styles common to all of our connection buttons. This should result in no change whatsoever, right? And then we can wire up all of the things. And that looks pretty good. All the things that are common. And let's put this down here after the on click, like so. We can do also dot on. Oh gosh, I already forgot. It's on, and then events dot mouse enter func e dot events, and then we do could we possibly cheat and say set selected true, and then mouse leave set selected to false. Would that give us the same behavior that we want without hopefully any knock-on side effects that I'm not thinking of? No. I should also do this just to make sure that we see these events firing and handle them here. And I don't. Why don't I? See here. Covered state. Oh, I see. Wait, no, I don't. because it should still be triggering this as well. Is that because you're a frame and not a widget? But frame should be a widget. Widget is everything, right? Frame is just the base, most basic version of a widget. Other things get more complicated. So why do I not have let me do this. There is a settings, I think, debug, event trace. If I'm not mistaken, that's going to get very, very noisy. Okay. Get you a little smaller so that I can see. Okay, we got lots of events firing, but they are not. Events are not being debugged for these, but obviously this is working, right? And on click is working, so why isn't it tracing? Okay. Maybe it's just event trace. There we go. I see mouse leaves and stuff in there. Okay, let's get you out of here. So that fires. These do not. Click fired, but not mouse enters. So I've done something wrong there. That is safe to say. Let's turn this off because it's very, very noisy. We ran into similar issues with the on click, and it had to do with making this not clickable. Right. The container is not clickable. The button inside is. This returns a connection button. But we register the on click on this. And that's working. So what's going on with this? Mouse enter. Drag enter for alternative case during drag events. On double click, set icon. Set focus. What have I done incorrectly? I bet. We had to set you true to clickable, not hoverable. Gotcha. Betcha. Betcha that's it. That's right, because this is just a frame. We have to tell it. Actually, I think I can do this. We'll test. So horizontal and vertical should now work if I've done that correctly. And because we've used one each different methods, we'll know that either one or the other or both work. Ah, there we go. That's what it was. Vertical. Or horizontal and vertical. Yeah, they both work. So we can do that. We can use the better syntax. Being this one. Just to keep everything all together. Like so. Same here. Change that. We don't need this anymore. I'm not sure that I want to set selected though. We can do let me just take a look real quick. I think that set selected is going to break stuff. But it does. Might actually be what they're doing there though too. So maybe it's fine. Why is cancel no longer working? All right, because it doesn't deselect. Escape. Escape does not deselect. Let's look at room tile. It's a button or button action. Renders a background when hovered focused active. So we probably need to not set selected. We probably need to do a background like they were just saying. But I don't know if I want a background or if I want something else. What I could do is this UR image.image of scheme type. So if I was to say up here in my constants, that equals that. Oh, actually, I don't need to do that. It's going to figure it out, right? It's not a constant. Okay. And it's going to be a global then. Or yeah, I like the highlighted, I think. Hi, there we go. So then if we do that, we can come down here and we can say this is connection widget background. I think that the dot state equals hovered. How did I? What was the syntax? Wasn't it? It was up higher. Click, long hover, long press key. Is it back one? Hover. There it is. I just scrolled past it. Hovered. State. So it's if s dot is dot hovered highlighted BG else connection widget background. And then I think we don't even need these, right? We just drive it off of the hovered state directly. Unless we need to do something else. Oh gosh. Did I flip? That surface container low. Is that not what I just had? Oh, it looks like I don't even need that else. That's one thing I don't need. This only fires when it's hovered. The rest of the time it's that. That makes that even easier. Well, it's working in that regard. It's just surface container low. Are you all somehow in the hovered state by default? Oops. Can I do this? No is the answer to that. Let's actually take this out of here. Since we don't need to, let's leave that for all boosted up. Take this out because we don't need to actually do a swap back and forth and store it in between. That back there. Should want to do this. That. Put that in the clipboard. Okay. This should. Huh. That's really bizarre. And it's actually already doing what we want to do by default. Why wasn't it Oh. I'm dumb. That's why. It's because it didn't have the ability to be hoverable. Now that it does, it's just doing the default behavior, which is actually kind of what we want, right? We could do a border, but I kind of think I like that more. Like it's visible. I'm happy with that for now. Let's just leave it. So that would put us this done. Okay. Let's go ahead. Make connection buttons background a little lighter to show where the buttons are. Make them hoverable. So that's squared away. Cool. Love that. Let's get the next task teed up here real quick. Let's do the header thing next. Let's fix that up. That's going to be an edit bar as part of our set selected connection, I think. Form header set text, yes. As part of our clear selections, we reset the text. Default header is where we build it. Form header is create header. Default header is selected tile. So why aren't you being reset? Reset text, set text header.default header. It's because it's wrong place. There we go. It's because something is not being that reset. I think it's related to our clicking an empty space. Selected tile. Oh, escape works for that now. Wait, did it work? Yeah, I forget now. We still have that. Did I write down? Where was this coming up at that it didn't? Okay, escape stopped working now. For nothing's being logged. Why did you stop? Very confused. Just a second ago, it didn't work, and now it does work. Okay. Let's go ahead and go with let's think here. Let's see if we can fix the see if this keeps cropping up once we fixed a couple other things. We could do clicking an empty space. I need that to be, there's not a lot of empty space is kind of the problem with that. So maybe that's fine. Let's do this. Let's change our default header. gets built down here when we select a tile to edit. And then let's fix the issue where this remains focused. And that's going to happen on clear selections, I think. Sat focus false. Actually, we can test that. So if we clear you, we hit enter. Yes, you are focus. Actually, what we should do instead of that, I think, is go back to room tile. Because this is a button. Set abilities false. What was the syntax? Should be in here. T's dot focusable. See what that gets me. Well, that's weird. Escape not working again. I broke stuff. Interesting. Why? Why would that be? Why would it change the borders and stuff? That. I don't understand why that would be. I wonder if it's because we changed the set type style that it gets confused. Which would be really annoying. But also, maybe that's not the correct answer because let me run this. If we like maybe it's valid to use the keyboard for this, right? That seems super broken, so maybe not. Maybe this We would have to do like something custom for that maybe to get it to work that way. But yeah, that, do I need to set that before anything else for some reason? Nope. Well, and escape seems to utterly break. I do that. See here. This should have reptile widgets. Where do we set up the handler for? That's in map because we have to register it in the handler where we set everything up. Deselect notification, which is tied to that as well. Because it needs to have edit bar handle, which comes down to here again. That would set it to be focused. This returns whether or not it can. Why doesn't button have the ability to be it's probably going to be under the widgets button. Oh, that's the thing I forgot to throw into my backlog. Let me do that really quick. Just gonna knock it out. Editor, add fold down icons to connection expander button in edit bar. Before I forget again. So action. I kind of want as an outline button, right? But focus is not really working well on this page. Let's just see. Go back to the room, and instead of using an action button, outlined. See what that gets us. Well, it gets us some weirdness, that's for sure. And it's still still focusable. We turn it off. We get right back to our weird behavior. Huh. About abilities. Bet you they're triggering on something to do with the state being focused. What if it's not activatable? What does that do? We it active by pressing down on it. That's still okay. So if this is gonna break everything to do set it not focusable, then when we do the setting, set selected is true. Well, that origin dot button that's set selected. We would need to, in our on click, maybe that's part of what's happening. We dispatch message, click notification. The room tile on click calls that, and then e dot set handled. Then if we run this, escape is no longer working again for some reason. Why? Why this? Code why you no work, right? Cogent why you no work. How you doing today, Pluck? Good to see you again. How's your week? Clear selections does a set selected. Reinventing event propagation from the JS browser ecosystem. I mean, kind of just by the nature of must, right? But these, because they're different widgets. I was visiting my granddaughter. Awesome. That was what we set up the event bus for, right? The event set handled is a Cogent thing. That's a thing we did. You won't notice how you will proficient in JS clients at right. That was just an empty line. This comes from Cogent. It has its own event system. The thing I'm wondering, can I... Actually, I should take this out first. Let's get rid of you and relaunch that. What does set selected actually set? Can I determine that? In browser.js, events go both directions, once from top to bottom, then back from bottom to top of the element hierarchy. In Cogent, they go top to or bottom to top, I believe, unless you have specified there is a there's two different ways you can register events for at the start and at the end, like an initial and a final. I forget what they call them. Let's see here. Frame 2. I think we're in the 20 somethings over here, right? No, 30 somethings. 40 somethings? I picked the inopportune one to select. There we go. Perfect. Nailed it. First shot. Let's see. Style. Does that have the state? No. Stylers, yeah, final and first. For stylers as well, but events, I believe. Yeah, listeners first and final. That I believe is tied into their event system. I don't see, unless I'm just blind, which is 100% possible. Let's see a way to, maybe I need to click on the button instead. Don't really have anything there. Focusable, hoverable, selected. So it really only sets selected. Okay. So why then, if I was to do that, we're at 68, I think is what we said. Yes. Then we'll go in, look at the button itself. Focused. Something. If we turn that off, we would have to set the dynamic, but it just went away. Okay, that's fine. Something is not clearing focus. No, that is part of Cogent's inspector. So we don't want to get in there, obviously, because that caused additional issues. Without doing a styler. I'm sure it's in the on click that it is setting the focus. I guess the easy answer is to stop leaning on their button and make our own for this as well, like we did for the connections. But I would rather kind of just understand why saying focusable false breaks the button. In order to do that, let's go take a look. New button, turns a button. Frame has a type. Here in the init, activatable, focusable, yada, yada, yada. Case button action. It's that. If it has the open menu, then we handled. Opens the associated menu and then handles it. Okay. Indicator. Automatically set to icons like keyboard arrow down when there is a menu elements. Ah, okay. I see. We're going to want to borrow that for myself, but for the expanders on the transits. This is icon stuff, indicator stuff. Must have missed where do we have events for select? Or is that just, well, that'd be a function, right? Because set selected hangs off a button. So it'd be a method. Where would you live if you were? Okay. Set state cell states.selected and restyle. It would have to be this is in flags. I don't see where in here the on click would handle setting focus, but I think it should, right? Both because that's what we observe, but also so like that just makes sense. Normally that is what you would probably want. So that must come from something else. Something else decides. Yeah, stream disconnected. My internet's been perfect for the past 3 days. I thought I had moved Dishy to a perfect spot. Guess not. Ah, I'll have to try again. Anywho, so something else must be setting the on the focused. I'm confused as to why overriding that then goes and breaks everything. We would need to Border radius full. Gap 0 center all. If it's not disabled, then cursor is a pointer. Set padding and that. Hmm. Maker. This is a plan because if it has a menu, we do all that. The icon set. If the text is not that. Hmm. None of that deals with focus, though. Let's switch this to like a type display pixels. What was the syntax for this? Set abilities. Perhaps abilities dot focusable. Perhaps it doesn't matter. If we clean up the mess it makes of the borders, maybe it's fine. Maybe that's a red herring. That looks promising. I still don't know why that would have been wrong, but escape is not the Varky Varky. Ah, escape doesn't work because it's not focusable, so it's not receiving. It's not receiving the event. That's a problem. This actually probably should live over here anyway. But we'll look at the docs for the events again. Events. That's a shortcut. We don't want that. Think. This would need to be lifted. Especially if it's not allowed to be focused. Hang on one sec. Let's put this back real quick for just a second. Yeah, escape doesn't work here either, which is probably fine. Let me rethink that again. Put that back just so it stays. We need to see who actually has focus. Is that something I can determine? Maintain status like focus, press consider internal data structure, modify it based on events of top level entity and change styling accordingly. Kind of where I'm going, yes. If I understand you correctly. We don't need to maintain it because the Cogent framework is doing a lot of that heavy lifting. We set the state when we are selecting these and populating this, right? But then we clear the focused or not focused selected state when we deselect a thing. But that's just a call to the Cogent stuff. But I want to I think I need to actually do settings. Debug. Focus trace. Yes. I don't need this. So now set focus event. No. Okay. That doesn't really help me a ton. What I'm thinking is that if I just lift, we put this back because it's not. Okay. That worked for the debugger then. Okay, let me relaunch. Should save that setting, but nothing is saying. Okay. Yeah, that doesn't really help me. Thinking that if we lift it up, hoist the key catcher up to. But if I'm over here and I have focus, so it needs to be at the very, very parent, I think. Debug, turn off the focus trace. So this, if we go up to the map UI level, that's this whole body. But that's center frame. That. Then we would need to have this be. We need to implement this interface, but maybe that's okay. This probably actually shouldn't be exported anyway, but that's fine for just this second. Let's do a quick. Oh, right. Crap. We'd need to. Let's just do a quick. And this returns a map event. We really just care about the event triggering here, so we can do that. This doesn't need to be that. This has to come back. We just need to return that. Except for you are just the broker that we set up somewhere. Do you not have a broker? You have to have a broker. Message broker. Way up there. Okay. It's just broker here. That's fine. That. And then you are e.broker because we do that at the very start. But I called you message broker. Oops. Did I not? New editor. Editor. Message broker. Oh, because this is, yeah. And then we can just do a quick test by grabbing, um, this needs to be exported though. Dispatch message. Topic we can just temporarily set. Map selection cleared. Oh my gosh. Get in there. You go in there. There. Let's see if that actually fires or not while we're in here mucking about. Well, crap. Um, and then start focus. Okay. That makes things kind of wonky. So we don't want to start focus. But that was working on escape. Not there. Not there. Okay, so it's because it's no longer focused. Crap. Where do I hang this handler off of? Events. Event. Event handlers are called in the reverse order, right? That they are added. 3 levels, first, normal, and final. Ba, 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 ba. Mouse events and key events. Key events have special logic for priority ordering. So the outer containers can have a chance to process navigation and other such events without being the focus widget. Okay. The progressively higher parent widgets above the current focus widget with a events.keyCord first or final handler get called before first and after final, the standard focus event handler. So do I need a final handler? Thus, if you need to intercept key events that might otherwise be processed by the focus widget, add a first key cord event handler function. If you only want to handle any events not otherwise processed by the focus widget, low priority, add a final key cord event. Okay. Generally, these container widgets should not have the focusable ability set, and they should not get standard focus events. Okay. So we were kind of close, I think. We'll get rid of that. On final here. How about them apples? Not working. Let me just do that and see. Made by engineers as opposed to made by mathematicians? Maybe. Yeah, I'm not seeing this thing fire at all. Simple and ugly. I mean, I've seen a lot of things made by mathematicians that are ugly. Source every CS textbook. Those are complex and ugly. Okay, yeah, fair. Very fair. So, either something else is grabbing this before we get here. Which we could probably disprove or prove by doing it on first. Or something else is wrong. And I see no log. Oh, I'm focused on the wrong window now. So why? The other thing we could do or try doing is, that's that key cord. A non-modifier key is released, so that should be correct still. We could try putting it in on the map widget itself also. I'm not super hopeful. Parent frame is what we called you here. This is on first. We can also try on final if this doesn't give me something. No loggy. Can I not inspect, but debug? Key event. Shortcut cord escape looking for button. I bet. I bet it dies right there. We could. Well, no, because we should still see. We don't. This is on a key cord, any key cord. We don't actually do anything until we come down here. That's when this gets fired. But we should still see this if it was reading this. But it doesn't seem to be. First would probably be the correct answer here because we do want to jump in there before it does that, which it doesn't seem to be doing. But this is tied to focus event handler. That's weird. I wonder, where was that duck about shortcut? I think it was in button, right? Types. Events. Clicked. Keyboard shortcut. Here we are. Is the key chord event. On key chord. Well, that's interesting. That worked. Abort. Okay, yeah. But if I'm not focused, I am. That's driven exclusively on the focus of that, which makes sense. Hmm. The way I read this is that it should all just be the same anyway. Like we do have the shortcut thing, but that is shortcuts, button support, keyboard shortcut, which allow you to make a button trigger. Even if the button doesn't already have focus, see events for more information. Oh, set shortcut, okay. That would be and that's why we had that's why this used to live. In fact, let's get rid of this. Well, let's comment you out real quick. Bring you back here. That's why this used to live here. I remember that now because the tile is ignorant of a broker, as it should be. That's why we registered it here to send the event. But maybe this is the answer. What if we do set shortcut? Where'd you go? Set shortcut. Well, does that is that irrevocably tied to the on click is what my question would be. Yeah, it triggers this button. So that just is a shortcut to simulate a click of that button, right? That doesn't help my desire to deselect. So let's take this back out. Well, we can actually just cut it. Or should this be, maybe it's the parent frame. No, because that's here. That should be fine. It's not, I think that's false by default, but let's just try explicitly setting it. If nothing else handles you, then we try that. I don't anticipate this is any different than the last one, but we must explore. We got that. Shortcut chord escape, looking for button. Doesn't fire this at all. Let's do, oops. Let's try. If it's not escape. Maybe that conflict. So if we try a non-modifier key, right? So if we select a thing, escape is that's function focus next, and that's just the cogent logging those events. Why is that a shortcut chord? Everything is a shortcut chord looking for button. So maybe that's not. But also, my on final is not firing off. Unless something in here is silently crashing or failing and just exiting, swallowing the error. Yeah, just shortcut chord, looking for button. Not terribly useful. Well, what the hell, man? This feels like a abilities thing. On first also doesn't help. Good question. That is, we should check that for thoroughness. Just shortcut chord looking for button. This feels like an ability. Like the frame doesn't have the ability to listen to these. That's bit me a number of times already. I think on final is truly what I do end up wanting, but abilities, events a widget can have, common event types, key. But that doesn't tell me about do this. True. This won't be focusable. This will be all right. Can I just do one of these for the sake of getting here? Okay, there we go. Selectable, activatable, clickable, double clickable, ba 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 ba. So none of that helps for keyboard stuff. I must be missing something in, would be over here. Concepts, event, key events. Is there something more here? Not really. That's button events, not. Go back to event, please. There we go. On event type for a low level event. That's key up. That's not. That's the other thing they were talking about in the inline for this. For on. Oh, okay. So here's an idea. Let's run this again. And then go to inspect. It would have been put on here. Listeners, first, normal, and final. Key chord. So we see our listener. But let's go to a button instead and see, just for fun, make sure we pick one that has a thing. If we go to you, Oh, you're not actually a button, but that's fine. Click. Shows us that's the handler. But, oops, I shouldn't close that. The whole thing, just say keycord, is all we do. This also has keycord, so does this. Everything has keycord. Because they're like globally listenable, right? It makes sense. And framing it, which doesn't really tell me much. But everything listens to keycord. We would need to know just go back to on just for completeness sake. See if we can get this thing to fire at all ever. And now it's just shortcuts. I need to look at button. Where does the shortcut cord? Handler fire, I wonder. I wonder if that is somehow blocking us, even though on first should have eliminated that as a possibility. It would probably be... No, it wouldn't be in button. Let me see. Probably just this part. What if we just put it at the very, very most rootest of just a keycord event at the root of the app? Will that ever actually show me? Yeah, that still doesn't. Oops. Not enough screen space. Only fires the shortcut stuff. On first. At the very root. Tell me. Looking for button, shortcut cord. That is immensely frustrating. Why you no work? You should work. What if only the B remaining? Like if we do this and then don't have any pagers registered like that? Interesting question. Wow, very much app. But no. Oops. Just shortcut cord. Kind of smells like a bug to me. Generally, I blame myself, but in this case, I might not be the idiot in the equation. um, what does Inspector say? Let's find out. Oops. You. Make sure we have a nice clean. Okay, there's our shortcut. Inspect. What does it say for what? Key event trace is still on. I wonder if event trace isn't. No, because that's just everything in the world. That's noise. Inspect what? What was your thinking there? For listeners? For the key handlers? Yeah, it just says key cord. But that's always there, so that makes sense, right? Yeah. Feel like I must be doing something wrong. I've done this before. I've done a key handler for because I wasn't happy with the defaults. Let me just do this real quick. And we'll go look at the client. I did something in client with some key handlers. Center frame on first. Enter. I did enter for what is this? Login? Account login screen. Let's make sure we're nice, clear, clean, empty, pristine. Let it build. So enter. It does fire. Set handled login handler is what we call. So let's to what? What in the world is all that? I don't overwrite a duplicate shortcut for anything. Not inspect. Inspect's not what I want. I want settings. Settings crashes and dies. Interesting. Okay. Settings. Now you work. Key event trace. But again, we have a bunch of overriding duplicate shortcuts. But I don't do anything with like F10. Like that's not me. So what's going on? And I can get that error as much as I want. Okay. Ba 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 ba. Keycord firing. And we see that it fires. So why? Okay, let's close this. Put you back. I lied. Let's reopen you. You are set up on center frame, just like, yes, which is just a regular frame, utterly unremarkable. Okay. Pretty sure we tried the log event here, but just in case I forgot. Let's make sure. Yeah, no. What in the world? Oh, let's try that again. Just to be thorough. Because that's what we used over there. There, for sure, it was to jump in and say, hey, I don't care who else is trying to grab an enter. I want to. Still no. Am I running the same code I'm editing? Yes. Just to make completely sure I'm sane. It's valid. Valid question. I'm the code. For a second there, I didn't see it because it was in between those logs, and I was about to feel really, really dumb. Let's actually leave that in. Just to be completely sure. Center frame on first. Advanced key cord. Yeah. Yeah. The center frame is a new frame off of the parent. Center frame is a new splits. Maybe it's a splits issue. Well, no, because we put it up here too and it didn't work. We can find out though. We just need to not do that. And it's going to break the UI. Oop. It's going to break the UI horribly, but we don't care. We just want to see a dang event fire, right? So and we don't. Huh. You can hang it off the parent, I suppose. It would be no different than doing it at the above level, I don't think, but... Still nothing. I don't want to close that. I want to close this. Hmm. And I don't see... Hey, Jazz, how you doing? I don't think I see the... Yeah, I don't see the shortcut. I don't see that message here. Luckily, nothing for once. What about us? I'm chasing a mystery. Pluck is contributing interesting bits of interesting thoughts that are very wise, but also still puzzled. Luckily, nothing for once. Does that mean that your full 7 days a week of working sprint is over, and you actually get to chillax for a hot second? Events, styles, abilities. It's like something causes this this shortcut thing to jump in, and that breaks stuff almost. But like we had those other weird errors over on the other side where it says it was rename or replacing or whatever. That doesn't make any sense to me. There is an update to Cogent. There's a couple. Do I dare? Is the question there. See, what have I actually changed that's good and not just experimental here? Nothing really. That's what your week was like? That is unfortunate. But hey, at least it's over, right? Is there... I could just go there from here. Pull request, that's what I want. Closed ones by chronological order, probably. Improve navigation options. That might be interesting. But I don't know how far back. I don't really see anything that looks related, but also like I might just YOLO it. Are you going? MongoDB is a web scale. I'm using Mongo as the database because really just the things that I want to pull out don't need to be SQL. I really just want to pull objects out of it that are like the prototype that's been, or the structure of a thing that's been saved, right? And I like their driver a lot more than SQL drivers too. Oh, there you go. Geez, that took a million years. Uh, okay, then stop. Thank you. You know what really kills me? This internet connection. Yours or mine? 14 years old. Okay, I'm not gonna watch the whole 5 minutes, but the intro is very funny. I'll watch that later. Cargo culting. Gotta love it, right? I initially started using SQLite, but I don't need SQLisms, you know? And I could go back to it. Everything's been, split off into the database package, so I could go back to it if I really wanted to, but I don't want to if I can avoid it. I was talking to no one in Germany. I asked know what Cargo Cult is. Oh boy. They needed to go to more conferences. But I was talking to some people in Thor's server that are like, actual game devs that have worked on actual projects, and um they use, I forget what it was called, but it is a NoSQL database, but it's proprietary and they want to charge money. So I was like, okay, if that's what everybody says is the way, and I prefer Mongo anyway, maybe I'll just use that and see if it becomes a problem. All right, so that we've updated Cogent. Let's run it. Just see what happens. SQLite is a file format. SQLite is a uh I mean, ultimately kind of, yeah, but it has SQL functions, and it's a very good solution for a when you just want a file but with benefits. Like, it's fast and it's performant. It works. It works very well, actually. I've used it a couple times. Still shortcut cord. Okay. I'm not surprised by that. Disappointed, but not surprised. Hmm. 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 Let's go back to trying to hang it off the body. But let's get even more aggressive here. Just say you don't even know about any of this. What does that get me? Okay. Still a shortcut cord. But why? Why would this be? Why there? Or why here and not there? That just makes no sense at all. Hmm. Okay. So here's what we're gonna do. Think all of this can just go. These are the only things that are not completely exploratory. But yeah, let's do roll you back. Definitely don't need this. That was just for a test. I should have done it the simpler way. We were just doing it anyway. It's fine. I was just really confident that it was going to actually work. And then this. That we want to keep as well. Okay. That puts us into a state where there's not a bunch of mess everywhere that we were just playing with. Let's also get... I'm going to grab this. We're going to close project, new project. Why you no work? That paste this in. Get rid of all this crap. Get out of there. Go away. Stop it. That goes away. That will go away. That will go away. That'll go away. We're going to be left with just the core. This is that. Fix the dependencies with a mod tidy. Are you tidying? Background reminds me of Kerbal. This is just the default Pop OS background. I like the idea of wallpapers, but I never look at them. So I end up just leaving them. But if you know Kerbal Space Program, you have excellent taste in video games. Are you taking... Oh. Latest found. What? Why? Why are you like this? Maybe this is part of my problem, though. Maybe that's part of the inconsistency. Let's, go mod. That's... Why would you try to open a mod file with a video player? Oh, with other... You all. Give me... Text editor. That'll do. Then let me double check also. Oh, because it's core. That's why. All right, now. Let's see. We probably just want to do this. Because I guess I could probably run it from here. Go summit. Because we need to tidy, pulls in the extra stuff. Let it compile. Let you compile for the first time, which could take a little bit. Okay. That gets us to exactly where we were. We'll just do a quick... Hang you off be... this should not... New frame should be new text. Set text. Hello, world. And that should run, and then we will get the copy pasta this. Hello world is there. Should have copied this before in the stuff, but I didn't. Map editor, map widgets. Key cord. There you are. So if we hang you off of this, and I actually don't care about that, I just want you to be off of B. This. And then down here we should see And we don't at all. Okay. And we could even do, just to be sure, there's, because this is so bizarre. Let's lift it right from their docks. Message snack bar. Actually, they didn't do that there. That's fine though. We can still do it. Message snack bar on the body. That. Right? Triple cover our bases here. Yes. I did mean to close that. And I see no snack bars, only shortcut codes. I think that pretty much counts as a minimal reproduction. I'm very confused why client works, though, still. And I'm wondering, and we'll rename you. Um, let's close this real quick and reopen the real work. Events. It would be map widget. Just events, nothing else. Key map, styles and abilities and units and all that, which shouldn't matter, but you know, like I don't see any strange extra um path for events or anything that look like it should override anything. You also double check. See if anybody has talked about no, not the channel. Slack. Gosh, Slack has become so awful since back in the day. Find incogent core. Events. Sort. Newest. Go away. That's build stuff. Don't see anything recently talking about events. Let's go check out their issue tracker. Don't see anything there. Okay. So let's go back. Let's also do close project. Back to while you know work. So we should start with snack bar. That just proves that, hey, everything should display here. We see you. Fantastic. Any keycord. We should see stuff. We don't. We just see shortcuts. What am I missing? I don't think there's anything I'm missing. I think that's pretty much just gonna be Anboog. We're going to do this, do all of this. Oh, wait, I put that in the wrong spot. There we go. No need for backticks, it says. That doesn't need to be anything. Describe the bug. Adding an on first keycard handler was working, able to intercept a key press and act accordingly. Is key press not a valid? I think it's right. I think my spell checks just sucks. Maybe it is 2 words. We'll go with that. That the event is swallowed. Of note, the event debug does log attempts to find a button for the button with the pressed key. How do I want to word this? To see if it's a shortcut or not. Run the example minimal reproduction. Minimal? There we go. Minimal reproduction code. Press the any key. Observe no console log of to indicate the event triggered. Observe no snack bar. presented to indicate the event was triggered. This should be, there we go. Here's a platform, Linux. I don't see a place for the version. I just wanted text copy there. Thanks for trying though, JetBrains. Let's see. Do I still have? No. The strange thing is that an app I created with an earlier version of Cogent still behaves correctly. However, in the debug log console, in the console debugging events logs errors about replacing old shortcuts. This is logged for keys that I have not added handlers for, i.e. F10. Okay, let's preview and make sure that this looks, it doesn't. Is this not? I thought it was backticks for code. Am I confused? Oh, it's triples. There we go. This, or these errors are also not logged every time I tried to test this. Just sometimes. Make sure we look like we cared about our reports. I think we're good. There. So, that being the case, let's close. I probably don't want to close all this. I want to close that and keep this open. We might need that still. We want to switch back to the real work. Close project. Why you suddenly decided I shouldn't have a file browser, but there we go. We'll fix that. Let's close this. Let's go. I'm going to just roll all this back. We're going to leave it alone until we figure out what's going on with them. We can do this, but if I do this, I want to do it as a... We're going to leave that alone. We're going to work on other bits and pieces, given that that has derailed us. But first, before we get in to figure out get stuck into figuring out what else we're going to do. I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to use the restroom. I'm going to open some windows because it's getting hot in here and stuffy, and I'll be right back. There, that should be a little better. And let's see here. Totally derailed. What I want to do, get this back open. Okay, so let's make ourselves a note. This, we're actually going to delete this ticket because when we made things actually show up, the connections between rooms, it quickly became clear that we just don't really have any dead space, and we probably shouldn't anyway, right? There's a little bit of a gap to keep things separate, but it's fine. This we'll have to keep an eye on, but it can kind of go down here. Oh, that's, I think we run that again real quick. That might have been part of the thing I just chucked, but that's okay. We can fix it right quick. Yeah, we need to, first of all, turn this off because it's very noisy. There we go. Oh, now this is giving me. Grab this. Not the one I want. Add this to Wonder if this is to do with the change in versions. Version bump to see if that might resolve the issue. And got these errors again. Perhaps something related to versioning. Okay. In case that's helpful to them. All right. So we can take care of that. That's fine. That we can still do this. This is on response from devs. We're going to put you in boogs just so that you don't get lost anywhere. And this is done by making it focusable or hoverable. Easy peasy. Lemons and being squeezed and such. We need to cancel there. We need that still. Let's do that first before that. Let's do this. We can do, I hope we can do real quick. This may be fixed. Keep an eye on. Just note for myself. So we got a couple little things. And after all of that mess, I'm in the mood for an easy win or two. These need little foldy downy icons. And I have a sneeze that's lurking. I think it's stalled. What are you laughing at there, Jazz? There's a little bit of a delay, so I don't know which thing I said is laughable. This message broker stuff. I don't need any of that right now. Map broker or map widget rather. You can come over here. So the foldy downy bits, lemon squeezy thing. Ah, yes, excellent. Glad that brought joy. I like to have fun with words. You might have noticed. It's a thing I do. Let's see here. So there was an example of this in their code, their implementation of button. One of them. Let's take a look at this because they used a thing, and I want to see if that's the correct way or not for me to do it. And they did that. See. Wouldn't that be yeah? indicator. I think it was a little bit above. It was a keyboard down, down indicator icon. I read this before. I got wrapped up in all the other stuff. Yes, indicator equals icons. Okay, so indicator. Absolute correct. So indicator, let me look at the docs. Is indicator what I should be using in this case? You get out of here. Button. That's right. I can't search the page because it's a WASM app. Fence types. I wonder if set icon is actually just setting an indicator under the hood, and that is the correct way. But they had a this is only for has menu. Error right, error down, error row. I think icons is probably just the correct way. But we will use their built-in ones for this because it's not a hugely special thing, right? It's just an indicator that says, hey, click on me, I have a thing, I expand. And that should be not here. That's for the icons themselves. We'll put you on all of them. It's new connection button, new connection widget. No, this is the wrong place. It doesn't go in connection tile. It goes in the edit bar because that's where we build our forms for the tile edit, connection edit stuff. Let's just collapse all this down for my sanity. There we go. You would be in connection table frame, tile edit struct. Where did I put you? What did I call you? You hang off this because connection edit widget. Here you are. Expander button. It's all built here. Expander button dot icon equals. Wait, is that correct? No, it's set icon. Icons dot keyboard right, error right. Fill? Maybe? Holy crap. Little tiny dust storm just kicked up out of nowhere. Conveniently, I just opened Windows because it was getting stuffy. Okay, yeah. That's all right. Is that what they were using? Keyboard error right is what they were using. Do I like that better or not? It's the same. Okay, that's fine. Then on because we don't actually we can do this here. When we do this stuff for visibility, I think we do here, right? Form container, expander button, yada yada yada, spot chooser. This form. This connection toggle visibility. And we made you a function. Okay. That's probably fine. Because we have a reference to the expander, so if we're setting you to invisible, then expander dot icon set icon. Arrow down. Expander dot set icon. Icons dot keyboard arrow right. And then we don't have to do it. I did take it out of there already, I think. Yes, okay. Then we don't have to do it anywhere else. We just do it in the same function. That's fine. I like that. We need to get it. Oh, well, that didn't work. Why didn't that work? What the heck? Expander is expander button. Toggle visibility. Okay. Put you back down here. Huh. Oh, you know why? Because now we update the form container. What if we also update the button, the expander? Yeah, there we go. Okay. It's fine, I guess. We still need this down here because otherwise that doesn't get called, I don't think. Let me just double check that. See if I'm insane or not. Because it's only an on-click handler. Yeah. So, it's probably fine. You can set it there and toggle it back and forth. I'm okay with that. So that takes care of one little tiny chore that makes the UI nicer. And this we will do set an arrow icon for the transit expanders to indicate that they hold out. And then let's see here. There's one other thing I want to do real quick that's just kind of tertiary. It is in edit bar. Close that for now. Tidy that up. The header. New edit bar, create header. This should be select a tile to edit, let's say. How do we like that? Does that fit inside the space allocated by default? It didn't change yet. Ah, it's because that's the default. This should go. We have a set reset text. If we call that, then it'll call at the end of being created. And that'll get us to having the text in there and make it harder to screw that up. Okay, perfect. So we'll do that as a quick commit as well, just because it's been bothering me. That, so that knocks out that little chore. Let's get our backlog back up here. that done. Let's see here. This is probably the next thing because this is going to build on top of that, or it'll be displayed on top of that. So we'll get this in place and probably not have to rework anything, I hope. So right now, the current problem, see if I go and run this again. If I say that I'm in here and I'm looking at stuff and let me just double check because I think there's actually two applying to change the connect. So there's two cases here. If I'm like, I want to change this, but I'm like, oh wait, no, I don't like that. This collapses everything. Not great, right? The other thing that is annoying from a UX perspective is if I had things open and I was like, oh, I want to make, change this, apply, then it collapses everything. Also not great from UX. That's annoying. So what we want to do is in our button bar is where this is going to live. When we do this, oh, actually, no, it won't be here. It will be because when we update the data, we set selected connection as first part of set selected connection. We clear it. Which makes sense because we want to, when we click from one to the other, clear out whatever the old stuff was, right? That's still the case. It's just going to be a problem for us when we want to not clear because we're still viewing the same thing. Update data is still, maybe we don't need actually to reset the selected anymore because we update everything. What happens if we just take that out? If I do that, I apply. If I do that, I apply. Yeah, I just don't need to. It can remain selected because we update everything underneath it. If I was to do this and then click cancel, yeah, that's fantastic. And then probably the same for, ooh, actually I should comment this out and retest that because the tile edits are different. They run through the other. So if I'm in a tile and then I do test and I was like, nah, I don't like that. Okay, yeah, that doesn't refresh it then. But it could. No, because we have to rebuild the form. Okay, that's right. So why did this? Okay, this can be a little harder than I thought slash hoped. We need to have the state somewhere where we can determine if this is a refresh or is this a new select. So that we trigger but we don't know that unless because over here over here if we just refire these, that's why it's here kind of too and built that way, is because if we've selected a tile and we then click on another tile, this clear wipes out whatever was in there currently and replaces it with the new stuff that gets built. We would need a different way to determine which things we want to have stay open. We could do, because we have events now, does that make sense? I guess a lot of things have changed since we did this. Do I even need to clear between these now? Yes, I would, for not necessarily for tiles, but for the connections, because they're a list that gets added to as you go through. The other thing is, even if we preserve that somehow, like the indexes, we would still need to know when we're triggering a completely new select versus, we can put that in the run. If we were to save the state of expanded, then we know when we're here that this is a new event that's triggering it, so we need to reset. So what we can do is selected connections. Is we can say expanded connection index. So when we come in here, in this case, the connections equals A new list. Nice little connection. Select connection indexes. What did I just call that? Expanded connection index. Should probably be indexes. So when we explicitly clear from an external or, this is going to be really repetitive if we do it here, though. What we should do is, because this is all driven off the event system now, new select bool, if new select eb dot expanded connection indexes equals int same with select connections. Otherwise, this is false and this is false. This is true. And this is true. And then when we do build here, and also when we set a, when we toggle, we'll give you that. If we do a list, though, that gets kind of cumbersome. So maybe that's not a good idea. Maybe this is. Maybe this ain't it. Maybe this should be. Maybe this should be a map. Map of bools. We can still nuke it on a new select. We just need to, instead of this, that. that. And then when we do this toggle, you can still have your parent index, that's fine. No, but then we don't have... Okay, so we don't need a parent index in here then. Except for we do, because we would do this instead of up there in that toggler, which is really more of just a style toggle. We would do that in the connection edit widget in the on click. Because that's where we have this. We could say and this would be parent index. We don't have it here. Maybe this is, yeah, I don't like how this is shaping up. There's too much stuff involved in doing it that way. Stuff that is fragile, right? Too much stuff that has to get right. We need a better approach. I think refresh selected tile. So it calls select tile again. This is our first case for this. Set selected tile. Button set selected is true. That's fine. Connection table frame, so we make a new one. So we threw out that old frame completely, but if we were to try to like reuse this, we need to account for cases where it's been deleted. And then we would need to just go create transit data again, which is fine. And then this from connection data, we'd have to find it. We can do that by the ID. That's not a problem. I think the answer is that we just need to be more sophisticated in our refresh. Instead of recalling the set selected, which was fine up until now, where we want to be better about the UX and whatnot, right? Instead of just throwing away and rebuilding, We just need to update everything, which should be fine. Like, the actual thing that we need to change is really just the form data, right? And then if in the case of the connections, when we refresh those, select a connection. We do the same thing. We just matchy match on ID, I think. But the case of delete, we have that handled because where's delete? Where's delete? We set the state to invisible, but there should be a yeah, here's the on click. Nope, that's the this is delete for the whole thing. We want delete for just the connections. If it's set to delete, then we do the delete, and then we could just delete it. We just skip it on. Well, we need to delete it from the UI. I still think this is probably better than trying to keep track of a set of indexes and then toggling them back on. Yeah, I gotta. My bug swatter has gone missing, and I got a bug on my window that I don't want flying around in here. Don't go anywhere. We're almost done today anyway. So yeah, I think that makes way more sense. It's just going to be a little more involved, but that's probably fine. I mean, the biggest issue is the selected connection bits. We store the we store some parts of this, but not all of them. Select a connection widget and select connections, which is a list of connections, which is utterly and totally ignorant of its index within the parent, which is should be fine, but it won't be shortly because we're going to want to delete them entirely from the list of objects, the UI objects. But we also do it wouldn't be here, it would be where we build the connection edit widgets, the delete button here. Yeah, it sets the flag and then it deletes the child from the container. Okay, so we handle deleting there. So yeah, that's fine. connection section. So if they're still in there, we can assume that they are still present. The connection update data gets built by this, which takes a connection tile.connection, but part of selected connection is connection update data. This is driven off a connection tile. This is just driven off of the origin tile, get the transits. This is just origin destination directions. We could do some kind of an updater here. That would probably be fine. Instead of we have access to tile as well. So we could feasibly rerun this. What do I do for selected tile? It takes a widget. Connection table frame, tile widget connections, which just comes in with the widget, which we should get when we update. We create the transit data. And then for this, we go and append it. We go back through and we just append to the selected connection. So I guess what we could just do is replace this if they match. So that'd be fine. And then when we do it this way through the connection side, it's roughly the same. We get the update data. And then get transit data. and then we just append after we build everything up. So we can do the same thing where we just match, and if you're new, then you're new. We just add you. Okay. Let me do refresh selected tile. So instead of, we still need to call update, I think. Is that fires this update function? Yes. So instead of rerunning selected tile, set selected tile, replace the underlying data structure and refresh the UI. Match connection IDs from updated data with existing connection structs and replace if ID matches. And then in refresh selected connection, instead of rerunning set selected connection, replace or replace the underlying data structure form struct and refresh the UI. Match connection IDs from the updated data with existing structs. Replace if match. Form struct here as well. What do existing construction structs and place if match. Leave little notes for future me here because that is just about going to end it for today. It has been 4 hours. We'll do the same thing again tomorrow. Time is down below on my profile, not on the view page, as I was told. But yeah, I'd love to see you again. Thanks for hanging out. If not, hey, you have a great weekend. Maybe we'll catch you some other time. Thanks again, and we'll catch you